Welcome, artists! In this video, you will learn how you can make artistic choices that make your subject's head shape both recognizable and exaggerated. If you've taken an art class before, chances are you've seen this diagram over here of the classic face proportions. But as we all know, every face is different, and in cartooning, we get to have fun changing those face shapes. Caricatures really allow us the opportunity to emphasize the differences of each face as we figure out how to make our subject both recognizable and exaggerated. One thing to consider when drawing the head shape is to exaggerate imbalance. If we look at this image on the left, it represents a standard classic human face proportions where the eyes divide the head in half, right? Half of the face is above the eyes, half is below the eyes. One way to exaggerate the head shape is to move the eye line up, as in this image, or down to emphasize either the top or the bottom of the head. If your subject has a distinctive jawline or forehead, you could exaggerate that portion of the face. You can see the portrait here. This is the blocking, and then they've exaggerated the chin by moving the eye line up. Another thing to consider is the principle of constant mass, or stretch and shrink. That just means if you squish the head in one direction, it must stretch out in another. Think of the head like a balloon. If we're to squeeze the balloon in one spot, the air will inflate into another area. In this first caricature, the head was compressed like this balloon. There was shrunken from the top to the bottom. To make up for that difference, the cheeks go out wider. It's as if they took the balloon and squashed it, and the mass squishes out the sides. In George Clooney's caricature, his head was compressed the other way, like this balloon. They squish from the sides, which then elongates the head. It has to stretch to make up that difference in visual weight. Although we know that heads don't really stretch this way, maintaining this visual weight is what makes our caricatures more acceptable as portraits. The final thing to consider is to simplify your head shape into a basic geometric shape. You can kind of squint at the general outline of your subject's head and see if it's closest to a circle, triangle, trapezoid, or whatever, and build the features around that shape. You can play with that idea of making a statement about your subject based on the types of shapes you choose for your caricature. Angular shapes, such as this portrait of the Rock, tend to represent strength and dependability, whereas rounder, curved shapes like circles and ovals represent softness or femininity. Remember, we always want to start with observations. Look at what features stand out in your subject. Look at how they differ from the classic human proportions, and think about how you can change the head shape to emphasize their unique qualities. The fun thing here is there's no one right way to do it. Experiment and have fun being creative with your head shape. For this exercise, observe your subject and start sketching your ideas for your caricature head. If you need further guidance, check out the extra videos that I will link in the lesson on Google Classroom. Have fun and get creative with your head shape.